You guys see the title. Social media is going crazy. I'm sure you guys are seeing everything that's being posted. YouTubers versus pros. It's a big hot button topic. I'm here to provide my stance. I'm going to get straight to the point. I want to see more YouTubers versus pros. I want to see more of it. I don't think we can get enough of it. I'm going to tell you exactly why in this video. All right, so I'm going to start off by asking you guys this. 5 years ago, before this space was even a thing, what would you rather watch? Two former JUCO players play one-on-one, or an NBA player getting called out by somebody who wasn't in the NBA to a one-on-one? To me, that's a rhetorical question. I don't think any of you are being serious if you said you would rather watch the two JUCO players play one-on-one. This is no shade directed towards any of the YouTube guys that didn't play at a super high level before getting on YouTube. I'm just trying to keep it as straight up as I can. And also, let me give these guys their flowers too. Everything they've done for themselves in the past couple years, building their brand, building their image, gaining fans, is incredible. It really is. But I think if we're only hyped up for these YouTube versus YouTube matchups, and we're not testing the skills of these YouTube players against the best players in the world, I think this shit is going to fall off just like AND1 did. I think most of us can agree that if we were to somehow remove the stigma of everybody looking down on this space as just some YouTubers and stuff like that, that'll be the most beneficial thing we can do to grow this space. All right, so let me pull up my boy B. Ellis here. I'm a big B. Ellis fan, and he is probably the loudest voice right now saying the opposite of what I'm saying. He wants to see more YouTuber versus YouTuber matchups. And I'd be remiss to not talk about some of the great points that he's made recently. Okay, point number one. The pros are unappreciative of this space. Yes, B. Ellis, they are. And because of that, we do get some Akil Carr type situations. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm the biggest fan of the Dom versus Akil Carr game either. But at the same time, if he wants to come out there and be unappreciative, that's going to be his own name that he's tarnishing later on when people see the video posted. So if he wants to come in there and BS, he's going to get the consequences. We're not giving Akil Carr any praise, you know? And I bet you if he came back out there and played again, he's not going to BS the same way he did last time. You know, let this be a wake-up call for a lot of people. Yes, there might be 5, 10, 15 more pros that come in just like Akil Carr came in and, you know, not really play defense, not take it serious, but when you get embarrassed like that on camera once, we all know what that feels like. I doubt these guys are going to let that happen to them again. I'm not saying they're going to come back and win, but I really doubt Akil Carr comes back and BS's the way he did. And if he does come back and BS for a second time, or maybe even a third time if he's lucky after BSing the second time, that's 3 strikes, you're out. Then we can write him off the way that people are trying to write him off. I understand that. If you're going to keep on going out there and consistently show us that you don't care, we'll show you that we don't care either. Point number 2. The existing players in the space would give Nas a closer game than a pro jumping into the space for the first time. Also, yes, but what you need to understand is it's just because it's their debuts. Lamar Peters lost in his debut too. For example, with Isaiah Briscoe, I don't like how we're already writing him off like he can't bounce back and have some kind of revenge towards the same way that LP is right now. You know, and I really do think if Briscoe and Nas played again, he would put up a better fight than anybody else can against Nas now that he has the experience. Let me hold Nas a little accountable as well. I'm not going to pretend like the Nas vs. LP game, the Nas vs. Zay game, the Nas vs. Rob game all don't make perfect sense. They do, and I would love to watch them. But at the end of the day, I would still rather Nas play against somebody like Pat Bev, even though I can almost guarantee that, yes, Pat Bev is going to go out there and shit the bed and absolutely get dominated. It's because of what that does for the space overall. The number 1 player on YouTube goes out there and beats an all-defensive team NBA player who, yes, is as old as Ty Lawson, but let's not act like he's in the same shape as Ty Lawson. Which brings me to my other point. This is not Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Okay, this is not. Maybe the Ty Lawson game was, but Pat Bev was just in EuroLeague last season, and I'm sure is still fighting for an NBA contract right now. He's in closer to Frank Nitti shape than he is Ty Lawson shape. One of the things B. Ellis said that I agree with the most is a lot of these pros should be held to the same standard as the YouTubers, where a pay-per-view matchup isn't earned right off the rip. I am totally for that. Do not get me wrong. I think the way that Next Chapter handled Darius Johnson-Odom by putting him on a TNC League season before we can potentially see him again was a great way to do it. You know, if he doesn't have a huge name or some kind of huge beef or any other reason to put him in a mainline event, then don't do it. I think the Isaiah Briscoe game is one of the rare games where, yes, you can come in and get a main or a headline pay-per-view event right off the rip. Because he had previous beef with Nas, they matched up in the big three. We got to see what it looks like when they're in front of each other. We already got the snippets, like how we got the snippets from Lamar doing the tag team one-on-ones in LA before he did his pay-per-view event. He already has a huge following. He was the number one point guard in high school, has the beef with Nas. They played before. I don't see why there's any problems with putting that as the headline event. And I know the way that Nas versus Briscoe ended, or I should say didn't end actually, rubbed people the wrong way and left a sour taste in their mouth. And it's got people talking really negatively. But are we forgetting that all publicity is good publicity? And I'm just glad that the scene has something to talk about. Look at how much news has been going on since that game. And I know that this was already going viral before pros started jumping into the space. And, you know, guys like Kyrie Irving were already giving props and support to the space. That's just because of how good of a guy Kyrie is, to be honest. The space didn't really take off until that Michael Beasley versus Lance Stevenson game. That's just when you're going to get extra eyes on the product that weren't on it before. Bringing guys that have a name. And I don't care if these guys come in and embarrass themselves. Why is everybody against blowouts? Why does everybody want to see a close game that bad? Was that 30-1 Nesco Ty Lawson game not one of the craziest things you guys seen in basketball in general in the last couple years? And like I mentioned earlier, yes, we could visibly see what type of shape Ty Lawson was in. And yes, that's why he lost the game the way he lost it. But let's not turn this into, like I said earlier, the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Let's use this as an opportunity to be like, yeah, this dude's too out of shape. You better get him somebody that's more prepared and more in his prime, like a Trey Burke. I really like that matchup. Which also reminds me, do we not know how to eye test players anymore? Look at this film of Trey Burke here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his game. He plays like Allen Iverson, but he just has less bounce. Like, I'm telling you, there's certain guys that are really just that good at basketball, and maybe for whatever reason, they're not currently playing at the highest level. Trey Burke is one of the best undersized guards in the world, mark my word. He was College Player of the Year at 5'11", bro. Like, what are we talking about? And I really believe that we can get one-on-one basketball in the Olympics one day, guys. The Olympics. And these are the type of matchups that I think get us closer to that. For real. I don't think YouTuber versus YouTuber gets us anywhere closer to putting this in the Olympics. I don't. But yeah, same thing I was saying earlier. If Nesco and Trey Burke did play, I do think Nesco would win. But like I said, it's because it's Trey Burke's debut, and this space really is as different as everyone is saying it is. You don't know it until you play it for yourself. But if Trey Burke went out there and lost, I would expect him to come back and bounce back the same way that LP did, and the same way that I'm saying Briscoe can. What I also think is kind of funny too is in B. Ellis's most recent stream, he said Mike James right here could beat Nas one-on-one. And hey, I don't blame you for saying that. Mike James is one of my favorite basketball players in the world. I have no clue why he's not on an NBA team. They're screwing him over, in my opinion, for that. But I'm going to say it again. B, I got $500 on this that Nas beats Mike James. And it will be because of the same reason. It's his debut. But I would bet again that if he came back, he would beat his next opponent no matter who it was. Man, let it get to a point where these pros have 100 games under their belt, like a Moon or a Scoob. There's going to be some new sheriffs in town, like fucking Lamar said. Like, you really think these guys are going to suck after playing 100 one-on-ones like Moon and Scoob? Get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry. Get out. All right, I think that's everything I got to say. I'm not sure if I left anything out. If I did, let me know in the comments if you guys disagree, agree, what you think. I think this is a way more nuanced conversation than what's being had. And I'm just looking to see where this goes. And the more people talking about this, the more people being on either side of the story and the pros talking about it, I just think it's great for the space. So if you guys enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, comment down below. I'll respond to all of them. And yeah, take care.